Hello, welcome everyone to Post AEW Full Gear 2021 here on Fightful.com. I am Jeremy Lambert, joined today by the host of Grapsody, podcasting legend, podcasting host and legend, Will Washington. Will, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing pretty damn good. We're in a new era, the new era of.
I was about to say, do you have the Hangman Page world title over your shoulder there?
Yeah, I do. I decided normally it sits behind me, but as I sat down, I'm like, you know what? Let me just grab it off the shelf, as I could grab any one of these, but this was the one for tonight.
Good call. Good call. Also with us, host of Sour Graps, post NXT show with Team Calix. You know him. You love him. You might not love him, but you know him.
Probably not.
Love is strong, but
tolerate. Some people tolerate.
Tolerate. There you go. Alex Pawlowski is here. Alex, how you doing, buddy?
Great. After this, this was excellent. You know, I mean, what we talk about how there's one professional wrestling company, and this delivered in spades. Yeah, I was over the moon about a lot of this.
Guys, get your super chats in, get your humper chats. I always sound strange saying that. I don't, but get them in. Get your question, comment, statement read on the air. We do go in order of stuff. So if you've donated a super chat or a humper chat and it is not read immediately because it pertains to Bryan Danielson against Miro, and we are talking about Hangman Page, then that is why it probably has not been read. So, you know, don't yell at our mods. Don't yell at Luis for, hey, why haven't you read my super chat? We go in order, guys, but I promise you they will all get read. And if they don't all get read, I will bring Luis on air and embarrass him like I have done before. So they will all get read, everybody. Let's start where the show ended. Cowboy shit, everybody. Hangman Page won. No swerve. No, let's get heat and draw this thing out. No stupidness in this match. Hangman Page won. They told a great story of Hangman having to overcome Omega and Callis and a ref bump. The Young Bucks came out at the end. You didn't know whose side were they on. There was the tease of the leg grab, which of course cost the Young Bucks the tag team titles last year, or the shot of the tag team titles last year. Hangman Page did warn them on Rampage, if you guys touch me, I will fuck you up. I don't think he used those exact words, but pretty much what he said. And they didn't touch him because they did not want to get fucked up by the Cowboy Hangman Page. Hangman Page hit a back-to-back buckshot lariat on Kenny Omega. Hangman Page, your AEW world champion. Will, where are you at on this?
This was not the match I was expecting. I'll say that to start off. That they went with a straight up wrestling match last year at Full Gear, and I was kind of expecting them to basically double up on that and just go further. And instead, they went the storied route, and I enjoyed that. I actually did, and there were a lot of callbacks within the match. You know, that's what they kind of do best. Whether you love or hate that, they definitely do their callbacks well. I hadn't even thought about, you mentioned the spot where the Young Bucks came out and you weren't sure what they were going to do. Were they going to grab the legs? And then Excalibur mentions the point that they refused to be in the corner of Hangman at All Out, and this time they kind of were in his corner, and that was like the difference maker. So there were a lot of little callbacks within the match, a lot of Don Callis presence in the match to the point of where it was like really pissing the fans off, which obviously was by design. And just overall, I enjoyed it. It was the moment it was supposed to be. And they sent the fans home happy with what they were supposed to. I have no complaints whatsoever, other than the fact that, like I said, I was maybe expecting more of an, Omega match, and instead we got more of the heel story told match, and that was just as exciting.
Alex, what'd you think?
The result was perfect. That's the most important thing. The Bucks coming out and like giving a silent nod of approval, like we choose you in this situation, is kind of like we're cool with this. I thought that's great. literally everything Don Callis did just made me so angry. I know that's the point, but like if Kenny Omega is able to wrestle Danielson to a draw without Callis getting in the way, I want to see Hangman Page beat Kenny Omega one-on-one straight up. And the easiest way to do it is to have him interfere once and have the ref.
That's what I thought.
Get the hell to the back.
That's exactly where I thought that was going.
We get these two guys going one-on-one and there's no Callis stuff. Also, every time we do the thing where like Don Callis is stomping on Hangman Page on the outside and the ref just has his back turned. Like, was this your first match you've refereed, dude? You know what Don Callis does on the outside. Like, and so then we get a ref bump, which is like one of my least favorite things about overbooked matches is the ref bump spot. I always hate it. I loved seeing Aubrey Edwards hustle her ass down to the ring to try and make the cover. I thought that was good. But maybe she should have been the referee from the beginning and we wouldn't have had all the problems with Don Callis. The other thing I thought was odd was Don Callis was laid out in the ring. He didn't roll off the apron. He was just laying there and just stayed there for the rest of the match, which I thought was weird. I thought, well, he's up there for a reason, but it turns out he wasn't. No one-winged angel kick out by Hangman, but by Omega. So yeah. I was like, that was interesting, but I did appreciate the buckshot finishing it off. The most important thing by far is that Hangman Page has got his title victory.
Yes,
I'm not a fan of overbooking these types of matches. I just want to see two dudes. Who's the better man in a wrestling ring? I always prefer that, but that's just me.
Well, and that's like I said, that's exactly what I thought they were going to do because that is what we got the first time. And I always felt like the Full Gear match from last year was a little bit, I don't know, subdued. Like it felt like, okay, maybe they're saving this for the moment they have a crowd. And then all of a sudden we have a crowd now. So I thought that was the match we were going to get, just a straight wrestling match, the Kenny Omega match. And we didn't really get that. And yeah, I agree on the Don Callis stuff. I thought, because they went to Don Callis interference so quickly in the beginning that I don't know if you guys see my camera shaking, but there's literally my cat has just decided to like
your cat interrupted the show.
I know my
today.
cat has interrupted the show today, and this is so stupid. This is the second time this has happened to me today. But anyway, especially going for the camera. That said. Like I said, they went for the Don Callis interference so early on that I thought, oh, this is an easy setup for, they'll do it 2 times and third time gets caught by referee Paul Turner, gets ejected. We're done. That's where I thought that was going. And then he was just there the whole match. And yeah, it was, like I said, it wasn't necessarily what I would have done. But I do recognize that it was effective. But yeah, I thought they were going to go for the Kenny Omega Classic, and we didn't necessarily get that here.
I'm not mad that they didn't go for the Kenny Omega Classic on this because, like, it's been a long story, and the Bucks have been intertwined in it. And like the Bucks coming down, I've said this before. Like whenever the Bucks come down, Omega seems to lose. The Christian match on Rampage is the biggest example. When Omega has Kota Ibushi in his corner, like things are fine. But when the Bucks and when Callis has been there, things have been fine. Callis got taken out. The Bucks came down. The Bucks kind of cost them because they didn't stick up for him in this. Now we're just looking at the top of Will's head. So the Bucks they didn't help him, so they kind of cost them. And like they're telling that story as well. They tried to intersplice a lot of stories here. Now, was it the best decision? I think you can argue that, okay, maybe they would have been better off just, hey, let's go with a straight up Kenny Omega Classic and have Hangman just beat him in that type of scenario. I think you can still run that back at some point and see what happens. But for this instance, I thought the story of everything works because like they've been telling this story for a while. There were a lot of stories that they had to put in this match, and they're going to keep telling stories with Omega, the Bucks, and Hangman Page as the Elite. Like you guys said, the main thing is Hangman Page won. He got the big moment. there was, of course, the ref bump, but he laid out Callis. It was clean. There was no like major shenanigans in this thing. The ref bump happened like 3/4 of the match,
Right.
3/5 of the match. So it's not like it played into the finish or anything. So overall, it was what it needed to be to me. And then the Dark Order celebration at the end, that was tremendous as well. I thought it was great. And again, the main thing is Hangman Page won. We have a lot of super chats on this match, so
Yes.
let me try to run through them. Stephen Williams says, "I hope Danielson versus Page in Chicago. I will be there. What's that? Thanksgiving weekend? I don't know if you're going to get it.
It's night before Thanksgiving. Probably not that soon.
I think they're going to do the Winter is Coming special again, and that was my original guess because I thought Moxley was going to win this tournament, and then he gets his title shot 1 year anniversary of when he lost it. Now with Danielson. As I said to Danielson won, like they're setting up Page to potentially beat Omega and Danielson back to back, which is pretty huge. HL Matt Larkin says, great night for wrestling, complex in-ring storytelling with MJF and Darby, and the Lucha Bros breaking with the established tropes, making the rules and holds meaningful, and of course Hangman overcomes Omega. Perfect night. Zach Schemmel says, this shit fucking ruled. There you go. A lot of curse words, Zach. This show humped so hard. He's very fired up about this. AEW is the best professional wrestling company. I cannot love AEW anymore for the passion this company has given me. Love to all of Fightful. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Mayo on Rice says, another amazing pay-per-view. Doesn't feel long at all. Legit had goosebumps in the end. Kat, this is a Humper chat, says, that nod from Matt got me so good. Evelina Gray says, Buck's face turn, ? Mac Brunson says, glad to see Hangman win. It's kind of nice as a
Mac from Brooklyn.
Fan.
Love Mac.
There you go. Shout out to Mac Brunson from Brooklyn. We're glad to see Hangman win. It's kind of nice to see a wrestling fan have your investment in a story rewarded. Ashay Nagar says, I don't know, but think I overhyped myself for the HM bout. Didn't feel as high level as CM Punk Miro matches, or maybe because I'm watching at job. Overall, 4.5 out of 5. Bit sad didn't get to see Hangman kick out of Kenny's One Wing Angel. I do want to touch on that because I think a lot of us predicted, I know I did anyway, that like this would be the perfect match to have Hangman Page kick out because you are selling that doubt on this. We all were 99% certain Hangman Page is going to win, but when you're 99% certain of something, you know, the beauty of pro wrestling is like, well, that 1%, you never know. It could happen. And Hangman hitting the one-winged angel or Omega hitting the one-winged angel would have created that doubt of, oh shit, like, are they really going to do this? And, you know, Hangman kicks out. It's a big moment. I thought a Hangman Page one-winged angel kick out would have gotten a bigger pop than like the actual title victory. Instead, they didn't do the kick out at all. He fought out of it a couple of times. He hit his own and Omega kicked out. Where were you on this? Did you think they should have actually done the one-winged angel kick out on here, Alex?
Yes, because I don't know what you're holding on to it for. The first kick out of Omega's. I don't know what you're holding on to it for if not for this.
Right.
Like this is a thing that puts away everybody. And like nobody kicks out of it. So the first time somebody kicks out of it, that's got to rattle Omega. And it would rattle him in this moment where you've been building to, I can beat you. You're nothing. You can't touch me. That's his whole thing with Hangman Page. So Hangman Page being the one guy who can kick out of the one-winged angel would rattle him within the match. And this is all stuff that I think would work better in a match that had none of the shenanigans. Don Callis get the hell of the back, no ref bump, and you could have the Young Bucks come down at the end and like do that part because I think that part worked for the story as well. But I think that in our match that we wanted, you and I will, of just these two guys going at it, who's the best man, I think that moment would have been a major turning point, not only in the match we're watching, but it leads to the absolute final chapter of the full story. Hangman kicking out of Omega's. Omega realizes he's not bulletproof. He can lose, and that's a big deal for him.
And not just that, but like it also plays into the story because, here's the thing: the lore for those who don't know me of this entire angle like keeps me up at night. I think about all of it a lot, right? So like, I have been thinking a lot about the fact that Hangman's biggest setbacks as it relates to Kenny were the One-Winged Angel. He lost at Full Gear last year to the One-Winged Angel. And then he, when he had the 10-man tag, the Elite versus the Dark Order and Hangman, it was the One-Winged Angel that took him out. And so it was it would have been like poetic storytelling. Even if you were just going story route, even for the match they had, it still would have fit that scenario to have gone for the One-Winged Angel, the move that has been the kryptonite to Hangman Adam Page's Superman moment. And he finally overcame it. Like, I thought no matter what scenario you went with, no matter what type of match you did, that was the moment. And yeah, we didn't get it. And I am curious what they are holding on to it for. If it's ever going to happen, if it just needs to remain the move that no one kicks out of, I guess. But yeah, I wanted to see it. I thought it was going to happen. There was one other kind of lore moment, and now that I'm thinking about it, I'm drawing a blank, so I will come back to it in seconds.
Kyle Collins says, I personally like that Kenny didn't hit the One-Winged Angel. Tells a story he can't win without it. To me, if he hits it in the rematch, it should mean more. Look, if they're going to do a rematch, I don't know when it's going to happen. And a lot of people are saying he kicks out in the rematch. Voodoo Child 1 says, I think Hangman kicks out in the rematch. If they're going to do the rematch, then like it would be, it'll still be big. And people have pointed out that Coda kicked out of it, and that is true.
Yes.
I personally, talking strictly AEW and this
that was what I was getting at. But
yeah.
Especially because like Excalibur mentions constantly, like we know that Coda's kicked out of it, but the fact is, like, it is a thing mentioned strictly in AEW lore. Like, on commentary, right. Every time the One-Winged Angels hit, Excalibur shouts, "No one's kicked out of the One-Winged Angel." It is a thing in AEW. And so this isn't just like stuff we've made up as fans. Like, it is a thing AEW has pounded into our heads. This is a move nobody kicks out of.
Yes. Look, if he hits it in the rematch and that's when the kick out happens, I'm completely fine with that. And maybe like I said, they do the Kenny Omega match in the rematch. Omega just says, Callus, you stay in the back. Young Bucks, like, I don't want anybody out here. Nobody come out here. I'm just gonna beat you like I beat you at Full Gear last year. And I'm just gonna beat you in a straight up wrestling match. And then if Kenny hits the One-Winged Angel and Hangman kicks out, then that'll create the doubt in Kenny's mind, like you were talking about, Alex. Yeah. And when we get that rematch, I don't know, because they're going to keep telling this Buck story right now with Kenny. Adam Cole's got some involvement in this, so they're interspersing a lot of different stories here,
oh yeah,
and it's very interesting to see where it is all going to go. The bad one, Jam Beard, says, I thought and wanted Hangman to be the one to kick out of the One-Winged Angel, but if we eventually get Coda in AEW, then have Coda be the one to kick out. That could work too. I don't know when Coda is going to come to AEW. We'll talk about Ishii here in a second. But if that happens, if Coda is going to be the guy to do it in AEW like he did it previously, then I could see that as well. Donzie Chase says, love the pay-per-view. So glad Hangman finally got the much-needed win over Kenny. Christian Knight says the entrance by Hangman was one of the best ever.
Yeah, that was really cool.
That was a dope entrance. Yeah, and the callbacks in it, of course, because this is a story they've been telling a long time, and I actually really appreciated them making sure for any doubters who doubt, who are like, this is just all, fan canon. And it's like, no, this has all actually been a thing that they have been leading to all this time. And you could very much see the story as it was being laid out and as it was being told in this entrance. So yeah, that was all really cool.
J.K. Schaller, buddy Jake, says he chose his friends over the beer layers. Exactly. They offered him the beer. The Dark Order did. He said, nah, fuck that.
That was the moment I was drawing a blank on that I couldn't remember. I'm like, there was something else that was actually like a really cool story moment. And it was when they offered him the beer and he tossed it and gave him a hug. Because, yeah, there was no beer here. And that, I think, is another big part of the Hangman story, that it's kind of been a crutch for him. And the night he didn't have it is when he won the title.
Mike Bevene says, really great pay-per-view. Ty impressed me in her first big match, and so happy for Paige. It was the right call. Connor Kilmurray says, the main event felt like a great season finale as Hangman cut it cut off all of Omega's underhanded tactics that kept him champion. This version of Omega felt like he didn't want to win straight up 1-1. Again, this is where you can go back to it to the third match where Omega feels like, all right, let's just have a straight up wrestling match here because that's how I beat you before. Bam, bunch of numbers, says Kenny finally gets the rest. Amazing pay-per-view. I got the Nerd Guru says take the Cody stuff and the women being in a bad spot and it was perfect. Cowboy shit, but Cody needs to go away for a long time. Sucked all the energy. Thank God for CM Punk and Paige. Daniel R says only Kenny can kick out of the one-winged angel. Van Twin Blades had so many great matches. Jungle Boy having to give in to the dark side a bit and put away the Bucks and Cole. Kingston having it won multiple times, not just pinning Punk because story. Sad Cowboy not being sad anymore. Great show. I love me some Sova. Says can't wait for some cowboy shit in person this Wednesday on Dynamite. Well, he's gonna lose the title to MJF, so get ready to be sad about that. The bad one, Jan Beard said, holy flying fuck, Hangman is the new champ. It's moments like these that make me happy and proud to be a wrestling fan. P.S. What does Tony D think of Hangman finally being the champ and the new face of AEW?
Listen, I love cowboys. I'm a big fan of Westerns, so I'm a big fan of this Hangman Page guy, Kenny Omega with the freaking facial hair. What is that stuff? Who are you trying to be, man? I appreciate Hangman Page. Also, I love things, Dark Orders. Personally, I get involved with the darkness a little bit myself, so I'm a big fan of the Adam Page.
There you go. That's what Tony D thinks of Hangman Page winning the title. Where are we at with these super chats, Luis? Okay, here we go. My bad. Are we done with the Hangman stuff?
I can talk about it for the rest of eternity.
Yes.
We have time. We have a limit, Jeremy. So
I know. I was looking for it on the super chat stuff, and I didn't see anymore. So, here we go. I'm gonna blame Luis. Donnie J says, "Love the pay-per-view. So glad Hangman finally got the much-needed win over Kenny." Yeah. Christian Knight says the entrance by Hangman was one of the best ever. I might have read some of these, but that's okay. Anakin JMT says, "Cheryl will never live down being caught singing Judas." Factual. Now who's ready to see Hangman lose on Wednesday? Yeah, he says, just kidding, though. Voodoo Child says, I have no shame. I'm an AEW mark. I live vicariously through Hangman, Adam Page. This match was everything I hoped for. And Nick said, this pay-per-view really felt like the end of phase 1 of the AEW story or the AEW cinematic universe, if you will. Get ready for the Cody verse. That's going to be phase 2. Cannot wait. All right, let's go back to the beginning of this show, which was the buy-in between Hikaru Shida and Thunder Rosa against Jamie Hayter and Nyla Rose. We had some Eddie tributes in this match. Of course, Vicky Guerrero being at ringside. The first of many Eddie tributes in this match. In the end, Shida countered the Beast Bomb into a jackknife for the win on Nyla Rose. And so they're also going to face in the TBS title tournament this Wednesday. So that sets up things there. What do you think of the buy-in match, Alex?
I love I love Thunder Rosa and I love Shida. I think Jamie Hayter is really, really fun to watch, and I'm looking to see like how she progresses. I love that she jumps into every crossbody. I love that she just says, "I'm going to take this the way nobody else takes it. I'm going to take it kersplat," and I think that's awesome. The only thing that I would change is I would rather they would have had either Rosa pin Nyla or Shida pin Jamie Hayter if they want the babyfaces to win, so we don't get a possible preview of what's happening in the tournament down the line. I didn't want to go, oh, well, Nyla got pinned by Shida today, which means she's probably going to win on Wednesday. I don't want to have that thought, so just switch up who does the pinning, because then we don't have to get that part of. We already got them facing off in the match enough, but other than that, fine, good match.
Well.
Yeah, I like the match, and I guess I agree with that. I feel like there's a part of me that's like, are they basically telegraphing that Nyla's probably winning to move the Shida and Serena Deeb feud forward? Because, yeah, I did like the match, and, yeah, I agree that Jamie Hayter taking it a second time. Like, it's very clear that that somebody, probably Tony, was very much amused by the first one, and it's like, okay, at this point you're just going to continue to take it. And the fact that they are also opponents, Thunder Rosa and Jamie Hayter in the tournament, tells me we're probably going to see it one more time. Except freaking swerve me. I want to see I want to see Thunder Rosa just go for it and Jamie Hayter just like sidestep, and she's like
pull a Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
Pull a Samoa Joe, just walk away.
Oh, it's one of my favorite spots ever.
I want to see that, but yeah, because it's weird. Thinking about the history of Nyla Rose and Hikaru Shida, because I'm pretty sure, just off the top of my head, Shida has been pinned twice by Nyla Rose, and then Nyla Rose has also lost 2 title matches to Hikaru Shida. So like, there's plenty of history, and I guess now 3 times Nyla Rose has been pinned by Shida. So there's I guess any way that result can go. They've surprisingly had a lot of history in AEW with each other. Mm-hmm. So going into Wednesday and the TBS title tournament match on Dynamite, I guess it could go either way. But yeah, I agree. I would have rather seen a little bit of a mix-up to leave more mystery as to what's going to happen.
And I loved Serena Deeb buying a ticket to sit front row just to annoy Shida. I want these two to have to just be the worst enemies of each other for the rest of their careers. I just think that's a really cool thing to start up. And why not with these two? I'd watch them wrestle 3-4 times a year for the next 5-6 years. Yeah, why not?
I'm really waiting for the scenario where I get to see the two of them in a commercial-free setting. Because like the way AEW is set up and the way where women's matches don't ever open the show, I don't see a scenario where I can get that. But unless you can hang on to the next pay-per-view, but I would really love to see Shida and Serena Deeb go commercial-free, and I want to see it just go the way they have before without any breaks.
I thought they telegraphed the Nyla and Shida result by doing Ruby and Statlander underneath it, because I didn't see them doing back-to-back face versus face matches. Mm-hmm. So that's why I was kind of confident Nyla was going to win anyway. And I could be wrong. But Nyla eating the pin here makes me a little bit more confident that Nyla is going to beat Shida, probably with Deeb and maybe even Vicky Guerrero getting involved on Wednesday. I don't think it's going to be like clean by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think that Nyla is going to win. And I thought they telegraphed that just by doing
only thing I don't like about the result of, or I guess the idea of Nyla winning is that would mean, assuming Ruby Soho goes forward, and I don't have the bracket in front of me, but correct me if I'm wrong, that would mean that all but one of the buys moves on. Considering I think everybody thinks Jade's going to win. I think everybody thinks Thunder Rosa is going to win. That was actually a few they were setting up and then kind of hit pause on anyway. And then, so if Nyla moves forward, it's really just Ruby would be the one to, and I guess that's a decent enough story thinking about it. She's the one to overcome somebody who had a bye.
That's the benefit of having the bye. You're rested and you didn't have to go through that first match. So I like that having the bye actually has an actual advantage to some of this stuff, even though there's a long break between matches. But I do like that it meant something to have the bye. Yeah, like you said, like Ruby being the one person that kind of overcomes that makes a lot of sense as well. We kicked off the pay-per-view with MJF against Darby Allin, 2 of the 4 pillars.
Is there a lighter around here? Because like fire, dude, that match was dope. And not a whole, I mean, I guess it was what most people would have expected because of the story that was being told. But man, that match slapped, that match hummed. Any other descriptive words that the kids use on Twitter you could throw out there, I would throw at this match, because that was a great way to kick off the show.
They went so pretty much the story of this match was MJF said he was going to out wrestle Darby Allin, beat him with a side headlock takeover, and Darby Allin, of course, is going to do his insane stuff. But Darby Allin proved very quickly that he can hang with him in a wrestling match. Darby got his back worked over. MJF, he's going to be selling this knee like I think Mac Jackson sold his back for his entire New Japan run. If I recall correctly, MJF sold his knee in that Sammy match on Dynamite. Yeah, so this is just going to be a thing with MJF. I think that knee is just always going to come into play.
Well, he sold his back for the Jericho match, for the entirety. So he picks something in the match to get injured, and then he is the best at selling as a heel that I've ever seen. Like he makes you almost feel bad for him, like as a human being, because he's acting hurt. Like the whole thing is like, usually you watch a heel in a match like this, and they might be selling a little bit, but they don't really, because it's important that they stay on top during the match. That's usually what happens. But this is like, no, that shit hurts if you're a good guy or a bad guy. I screwed my knee up. Every time I land wrong on my knee or I do a backbreaker on my knee, it hurts. So I appreciate that MJF is selling it like it actually hurts. I love it. I think it's great.
And the thing I loved about it most throughout the match was that MJF, of course, working heel throughout the match, was working over Darby's back with his knee. And so the more he works over Darby's back, the worse his knee becomes throughout the match. And so that was also just a cool story that they were telling throughout. I think, it's interesting because of the fact that, like, if you've even half paid attention to Darby Allin, like, we've always known, like, he's a good wrestler. He can hang in the ring as a, like, if he was just having a straight up pro wrestling match, he can hang. And well, that is something he does well. And that's something that's actually in his background. But the story and the expectation, of course, is that this isn't really Darby's environment. Darby's environment is more of more of the plunder environment, and an environment where he can take advantage of getting to use his body more. These guys just kind of went out there and decided, we're gonna showcase and we're gonna have a clinic, and we're gonna do it from the moment the match kicked off. It was like they went out there and chain wrestled, and it did it beautifully. And you almost it is a strategy that MJF wrestles as little as he does, because it almost puts it out of your mind. Because there are so many people who think that MJF is a bad wrestler, who think that this guy can't go in the ring, and so that's the reason he wrestles so little. But it's the other way around. Whereas, like, I think it would get way more people on his side if he were doing this every week. And so by only doing it on occasion, and he's just there to talk and be an ass. I think that keeps him the heel we need him to be. And we keep his wrestling at a rarity. Keep it to a minimum. Do it on occasion like this. And just on occasion remind it, because I feel like the last major reminder we got of this, it was probably like Sammy Guevara. But like before that, I feel like it was way back at like that first, not the first one, but the second one, that Double or Nothing, the Jungle Boy match, where they went out there and just had a crazy great match. And that was I feel like the first time that wrestling Twitter was like, wait, MJF is that guy?
It really is. So we talk about MJF, that he doesn't wrestle a lot, and Joseph and I will discuss this. Like, he's on television all the time, but he's not in the ring all the time, and we wonder what the reason for that is, and does he need to get up to speed? Why doesn't he wrestle more? I think you make a good point, Will. Is he doesn't do it because if he did, people he's still a smarmy dick, but people might actually respect how good he actually is as a wrestler. So if you just don't have him go out there and wrestle all the time, it's you can just continue to hate this man because he cuts his promos and he gets everybody against him. And when he does wrestle, he proves how good he is. And then of course he cheats to win, like he did here. He did win with the side headlock takeover. He hit Darby Allin with the diamond ring after the referee was getting the skateboard out of the ring. MJF brought the skateboard into the ring. He begged Darby to hit him. He tried to play some mind games and get him to basically you know what, you really want to hit me with this. You want to get yourself DQ'd. Darby said, nope, not going to do that. As the ref tried to get the skateboard out of the ring, MJF hit him with the diamond ring. Side headlock takeover for the victory. I was a little skeptical on this match. I thought it was going to be a little bit of a styles clash between these two. It certainly wasn't. Both guys, not that I thought they were bad or anything, both guys showed more tricks than I kind of thought they had in their repertoire. And that's a credit to both of them, as just how good they already are at the age they are. Because when they do wrestle, this maybe I fell into the trap of MJF not wrestling that much. So I just kind of forget how good and technically sound he is. And Darby, like, I know he can be technically sound and everything, but you're so used to seeing him go at that car crash speed, you forget he can kind of do that shit too. He showed it off in the Punk match, but because again he just likes to go a million miles per hour, you forget that he's good at that as well. So both guys, credit to them. This might have been the match of the night. Like, it was absolutely tremendous, and I was a little skeptical. I'll be the first one to admit it. I was like, I don't know, they might clash a little bit here, and I don't know how it's going to play out. Clearly didn't. Credit to both men, and I thought they did the right move. I thought MJF winning was the correct call, because I do think it's going to set up a tag team match with MJF and Wardlow against Sting and Darby at some point.
Oh, I should be there for that. Only because I was thinking about the fact that, like, I was at Double or Nothing. I was at what was the other one? Arthur Ashe, Grand Slam, and like I was just thinking about how I've kind of seen Sting's major matches this year, and if he has another one, I'm like, I should be there for these because they kind of rule. And so, but you know, I was thinking about a couple of things when it came to this match. The first thing being that MJF, I don't know that he necessarily needed the win as much as Darby did, mainly because Darby did lose the match to CM Punk just at the last pay-per-view. And I kind of feel like Darby is in a place where he needs another major victory. And I don't know what Darby's next feud is. And like, you know, as I was going down the line mentally of like, who could Darby feud with next? And I thought like he could face Malachi, but Malachi kind of doesn't need to lose either. And so I thought this was a match that I thought Darby probably needed a little bit more than MJF did. And I would have preferred to have seen MJF kind of one-upped, because MJF is still kind of known as a pretty good professional wrestler. And when he goes out there and wrestles, he can go. But that's not something Darby's so much known for. And Darby could have gone out there and kind of one-upped him at his game, which he kind of did. That was a story here anyway, and that MJF ultimately needed to cheat. But I felt like I would have been pretty satisfied with just straight-up Darby win.
Alex,
I thought this, man, it was right down to this one, or Miro Danielson for me for match of the night. The Punk and Kingston, we'll get to it, was something different. It was like a cathartic emotional experience,
yes.
Not really a wrestling match. But this, I guess I don't think of these two guys as being the workers that they are. And then seeing them in the ring together, realizing how young they are, how much of their careers they have ahead of them. Like, there's a chance that in like 8 years, these guys are the two top guys in the entire company and they're facing each other for the title. Like that kind of a thing. Like, I mean, like two top guys in the company, two of the top guys in the world. Like these, like there was stuff to like, well, MJF is just a guy who talks. Like that counter to a code red into a power bomb was noise. Like that thing was amazing. I hadn't seen anything like that before. Darby, like Darby's one of those guys that he may not make it 8 years because he might kill himself in the ring. Like he's just like, I'm gonna do coffin drops off of everything. And
that one on the apron. Yeah. Oh man.
Every time he does that, it's a thing I've seen him do more than once. Like that's your bump card is full. You can do that once, check it off, and you don't have to do that again. But he loves doing it. I thought that this was a really well told story, and we should have known the whole thing was always going to come down to either you cheat and get yourself disqualified and I prove that I beat you mentally, or I'm going to cheat because I put the diamond ring in my trunks before I came out here. I was always planning to cheat. Like
he was like adjusting his trunks a bunch, by the way. Yeah. Like in those opening, maybe like first 5 minutes, I noticed he like kept adjusting his trunks, and I kept thinking, is there something there that's like really bothering him? Because he can't seem to stop like reaching down there. And I do have a question though. Like legit, I was thinking about this because the only answer I can think of is maybe Bianca Belair. But is there anybody else who has debuted since 2019? So been on TV since 2019, who is as far along in terms of star presence as MJF and Darby are. I can't think of anybody else except maybe Bianca, but like who, like I said, made their TV debuts 2019, which both MJF and Darby did. And right now, the fact that they connect with crowds the way they do, for better or worse, as far as MJF is concerned, and just in terms of like, you can put these two against each other. And right now, I didn't feel like I was watching a match of like, oh yeah, two guys who are going to be there one day. I felt like these are two like of AEW's top guys. And didn't even.
And they're only going to get better over the next several years because they're still so stupidly young. Like to be this talented, to absolutely get it about pro wrestling this early is really, really rare. Like they don't have it. Does not feel. It feels like MJF is the kind of guy who you would expect to have a really big head behind the scenes and not like agree to do certain stuff because, hey, I'm MJF. But it feels like watching his matches, like he understands how to give and take and follow that story where you would expect him to be this egomaniac because I can get away with it. I'm MJF. But it feels like watching it that he's not that guy, even though he plays it whenever we see a microphone in front of his face, whether or not he's in character or not.
Yeah, MJF is definitely way more of a student than obviously he'll ever let on. And you can see it, and you can see how much joy he gets out of certain things. Like you think about the fact that it's not really a secret that MJF is a big CM Punk fan, and that, like thinking about it, probably his next feud. And I can just imagine how much he's going to take in from that, that being, you know, the reason for him being who he is, and the reason, I mean, because you've seen the picture of him and CM Punk as a kid, right? And like that was clearly like somebody who influenced him as a heel and his heel presence. And I say that because obviously I'm 34. Like CM Punk as a top heel to me is like still in my adult life, but looking at MJF, somebody who's 25. So we're talking about top heel CM Punk was when this guy was a teenager. This is a guy who was taking all that in his adolescent years. And if that's what's next for MJF, and I feel like it should be, I'm excited to see what comes from that.
Jonathan McPherson says MJF may be the best entertainer in the world, but he and Darby really had a shot at stealing the show on a night about great wrestling. Amazing stuff. Reese Power says tonight felt like it was a coming out party for the 4 pillars. The opening match was phenomenal. MJF showed off in the ring. And Dog King says MJF shouldn't wrestle often so he can constantly win without going up in the rankings. Same ring he's in. Punk doesn't wrestle often, and they don't care. The rankings are dumb. Don't get me started on that stuff.
I love the rankings.
You would, Will. You would like the rankings.
I absolutely love them. Look, honestly, the rankings are the only way that you could justify doing Christian Cage versus Kenny Omega as the main event of All Out, and people don't go, hey, I wasn't asking for that, because it's like, well, he didn't win the most matches, so like he was.
Yeah, the super important rankings where we're going to determine the top contender for our world title by having Powerhouse Hobbs in here, who just lost to CM Punk. Very important AEW title rankings. The rankings suck.
Hey, it's still better than nothing. It's like, still to me better than just like showing up and winning a title shot. To me, I'll take rankings all day long, as long as there's like some mild explanation for why somebody is challenging for that title. I am way happier with that than anything else.
The very important rankings. Here's a casino ladder match to get a title shot.
And you move to the top of the rankings.
That's the way to get around the rankings.
Yeah. The very important rankings where Jay Lethal just comes in and is like, hey, can I get a title shot? And it's like, yeah, sure.
They've never said the TNT title.
Don't list them. Don't list the TNT champion
right.
For a world title shot.
In the rankings.
Yeah.
I don't actually like totally hate the rankings. I just think they could be utilized better. But I do like that they do a good enough job with them.
I could have sworn that your theme song says wins and losses don't mean shit. So
does our theme song say that? Probably does.
Do I know the lyrics of the Distraction theme better than
you should? It's a great song. It's a great song. Shout out to Kylo Voss. It's a great song. Now, I don't mind the rankings because it does give importance to things. Like if you're a casual person or a new person, Joseph said this, and like you see number 3 attached to this person, it's like, oh, that person kind of seems important. I just think overall they could just do a better job with a lot of stuff. Oscar Villanueva says, had to smoke a cig after that match. Stars. Like, man, whatever you got to do. AEW World Tag Team Titles, Lucha Bros against FTR. They had a great match. They had a fantastic match, as you would expect from Lucha Bros and FTR. And then that finish happened, and
What was that?
I don't know how to feel about this finish. I said, I tweeted it. Rick Knox being incompetent is the best long-term story AEW is telling, because FTR, like, he did a good job of recognizing who the legal man was and everything, and they even pointed out on commentary. And then FTR put on the Los Ranas mask, and he pinned the wrong guy. He pinned Cash when Dax was the legal man, and the commentary pointed out, and it's just like, sure, maybe this leads to FTR's argument of like, you didn't actually beat us, like you went against. It just came off so weird. It's so flat, especially after all the shit they did too. They were kicking out of everything in this match, which is kind of a staple of a Lucha Bros match. But like, they were kicking out of everything in this match, and then just pin the wrong guy with the mask on. Will, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree on the finish. I thought there'd be more to that of like, hey, that's like very obviously not Dax Harwood. But beyond that, I did enjoy the match greatly. I thought there's some really, really smart and inventive spots. I thought the what do they call the package pile driver finish? I can't remember that. But when Ray did the stomp onto off the top rope to complete the package pile driver onto Cash Wheeler, and then jumps off of him onto Dax Harwood, that was dope. That was such a
that should have been the finish.
Yeah, that honestly, you could have ended it there, and I would have been satisfied. I would have liked this match to have finished pretty conclusively, because we've already seen them have the not so conclusive finish. And yeah, for this to end with the masks and end still in question, I thought was not the choice I would have made. But either way, like, everything up until that point, I very much enjoyed.
Alex popping me with the head shake. Go ahead, Alex.
This match was excellent up until the end, and the end just was like. And I see people in the chat like explaining it, like, no, I get what they were going for. They just failed at it. Like, I get they were like, oh no, they're telling the story that these are heels, right? And they got pinned, so now they're gonna complain and get a rematch. Yeah, I know, but you failed at doing it in a way that nobody in the arena got it. Everybody on my timeline was like, that ending was weird, at least weird, if not stupid. Oh no, but they're pretending to be luchadors, so it's like it's karma against them because they lost to the luchadors. Like, no, I get it, but it was really clunky, and the whole thing is like, listen, these two guys, they're very different. Like, they have similar body types, but one of them has specific tattoos and the other one doesn't. One of them has hair coming out the back of his luchador mask and the other guy's bald. Rick Knox, like, you bury this ref like to a point where he shouldn't be able to.
This is the angle. Anymore. Wait until Rick Knox is confident. It's going to be the biggest pop in AEW history when Rick Knox gets something right. It's going to be huge. Going to be absolutely huge.
I will say there's one bit here that I very much ironically popped for. So Dax Harwood goes for the Three Amigos on Penta, and the crowd boos, right? Yeah. And like the crowd hates it. And then Penta goes for him, and the crowd cheers, and Excalibur is like, and now Penta's gonna show him how it's done. And then like does him like way poorly.
Yeah. Plus,
and honestly, Dax's execution was actually pretty flawless. And then seeing Penta's like not be, I don't know, that very much popped me.
Dax Harwood's so good.
He is good.
The match The match against Pac, he's a single star. Like he's so damn good.
I mean, he had the match earlier this year with Jungle Boy, and that's another example of Dax Harwood being able to go as a singles guy. And honestly, I like FTR as a team, but if they decide to explore that possibility of doing a singles run with those guys, because Dax is also a really good talker, there's nothing to lose there other than FTR.
Jonathan McPherson says Lucha Bros and FTR didn't feel like it had near falls. I feel like it had multiple alternate endings, and I was sold on everyone. Luis says, Luis, did you pay for this, or did you just put this in here? Where's the money, Luis? I said that finish had AAA written all over it. It's probably the build up for Triple Mania Regia. Yeah, they are going to wrestle again in less than a month at Triple Mania, so I'm sure that'll play some type of factor into it as well. Again, like Alex said, I got the finish. I understood what they were going for. That doesn't make it good, or that it didn't come off as they intended to, because the crowd seemed very confused by it. The announcers were definitely wait, they fucked that up. And yeah, a lot of people on my timeline as well are like, what was that? What happened there? We got it, but wasn't just weird. Okay, Luis says he did pay for it. I'll double check that, Luis. Don't put that on your invoice either.
So I'm curious about something. Because I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat talking about the Bleacher Report streaming. So I am curious, because this is my first time doing it through Bleacher Report, because I was at All Out, so I didn't watch it live. And so I'm curious, how was you guys' streaming experience tonight?
Mine was good.
Yeah, we my wife is now working from home, so we just upped our internet to the highest speed possible. And I was watching it on my Roku TV. I had no issues at all. I was worried because I've heard nothing but terrible things about the BR app. But that's probably because we were like, can you give us the fastest internet possible?
Yes. So I have pretty high speed internet and had no issues with anything all night.
So the concern for me was more so about app compatibility more than anything else, because the one thing that is most disappointing to me is that the BR app is not available nearly as many places as BR Live was. And so I was curious about that, because it's not available for Android TV. Although, as I tweeted a month ago, I did successfully port the app to Android TV. So if anybody just wants to toss me 6 figures, I'll go ahead and release that. It's very doable. And so I'm curious why the BR developers haven't done it, because it was really easy. But anyway, so I ended up watching it via Chromecast. I just pulled it up on my phone, and I Chromecasted it, and it was really clean, surprisingly clean, to the point of where it looked a lot better than, because I ended up buying All Out just to rewatch it. And it looked a lot better than the stream of All Out has looked for me, and sounded way better. So I'll say I actually did have a pretty flawless experience, but I heard people having nightmare experiences. I heard people on their Xboxes weren't having a great experience. One guy had commented that they were having issues on their Fire Stick, and then later reiterated that, but also my Fire Stick is 10 years old. And well, that's maybe your problem. I don't know. I didn't have any issues with it, but I'm curious to see what other.
The only issue I had with it was you can't pause it, can't rewind it.
Yeah.
So that sucks.
I attempted one time to pause it, and it stopped the whole stream. And I was okay, so I need to restart the stream.
Bryan Danielson against Miro, AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament Final. Bryan Danielson's so fucking good. So good. Miro is also excellent. The finish, I want to get y'all's thoughts on the finish here, because Danielson hits a tornado DDT, looked a little rough, and then got into the guillotine for the victory. I was surprised Danielson won. I thought it was going to set up a Miro victory, and him going after the world title. But Danielson got the win. Thought it started a little slow, but once it picked up, it definitely picked up. And I mean, I think Danielson's the best of all time, and Miro just continues to impress.
I don't think there could have been
impress
any doubt that. So I guess the only reason I didn't doubt that Bryan was going to win was just because I figured it needed to cast doubt on the main event, because obviously we had the story of because Danielson still has unfinished business with Kenny, and I felt like Danielson winning could, for anybody who's still in that mindset of maybe they'll let us down, but at least we'll have the Bryan and Kenny rematch. I feel like they needed to cast doubt on the main event, and I thought the only way to truly do that was Bryan winning.
That's fair. I thought Miro was going to win because I thought when this was originally going to be Moxley, that Moxley was definitely going to win, and so Miro could easily sort of fill in that angry heel, kick the shit out of people role that Moxley was seemingly being set up for, before he went to inpatient treatment. So that's why I thought Miro was going to win. And then, Hangman beats Miro, and then Miro wants to punch God in the face for losing again, which he can still do after losing this match. He can go punch God in the face. Alex, what were your thoughts?
My thought again was that Miro was going to beat Danielson because I think they were originally going to have Mox do it, and then have Page have his first defense be against either in the case of Mox, a guy who will murder you because it's fun, or Miro, a monster who will crush your spine, and have him have to overcome that in his first defense. Then I saw Miro come out, and not only was the quad still taped up, but he had a bunch of Kino tape on the hamstring, and I was like, this might be worse than we think, and he might need to go get something taken care of. So he gets out of the way, and Danielson go, and then you can have Miro. If Miro disappears for like a month, 6 weeks, and then he comes back and he's okay, but he's still angry. We can reignite this whole thing he's been going on, and he can hate Bryan Danielson. And you could, if Bryan Danielson gets beat by Hangman Page, then Bryan Danielson's going to need something to do. It's not just beat a different guy every week. You actually got to get him something to do. And if by that point, after losing to Hangman Page, I'm predicting that because I just don't think you do that to Adam Page. I don't think you have him lose in his first title defense. I can't imagine them doing that. So if Danielson loses, he needs something to do. And Miro coming back with a vengeance on Bryan Danielson because Bryan Danielson stopped him from getting home to his bride. There's a thing you can do there. The match I loved. There were absolute moments in there where okay, now the tone has shifted. You could watch something happen and all of a sudden something changed. It was really, really good. The point where there was Miro just stood there and raised his arm and said, "Kick me here, little man." That popped me so hard. I love these guys so much, both of them. And I'm watching this and thinking to myself, WWE had these two dudes for years and could have run this shit at any point. And it was just I don't know. These guys feel like they're made for each other, literally made for each other.
If you'll recall, they did it one time, and it was in route to, it was a Money in the Bank qualifying match, if I remember correctly, and it was en route to Bryan versus Big Cass 2. It was literally just a passing match to where Miro won. He qualified for Money in the Bank, and then Bryan goes on to Money in the Bank to face Big Cass, who was released the next day.
Yep. That's the thing they did.
I absolutely love the match again. I think Danielson is the absolute GOAT. As far as the finish goes, I get people in the chat. I get it. I know why it made sense. It just came off a little clunky. Miro kind of took the bump a little bit weird, and then it seemed like it was just supposed to be a little bit smoother with that. It didn't kill my enjoyment of the match or anything. It looked like it should have been smoother from these two guys. But there
was a moment there where it was a callback to Bryan's last match at WWE. Did you guys notice that? Where he had the label lock, trying to get the label lock on Miro, but Miro fought out of it and then achieved full mount and was raining down elbows on him, which is exactly how Roman beat Bryan in his last match in WWE. And I thought, well, now if you have Miro beat him, like in that way, like that becomes like a thing that like, if you can get out of him and do that to him, then you can beat Bryan. But they didn't do that. But I also loved that the way he lost his last match in WWE, guillotine choke. So he wins this match with he beat I think it was Dustin Rhodes in the first round of the tournament with a guillotine. Like, I love that. Like, there's this thing there that kind of makes sense. But I also that DDT looked so nasty off the ropes that I believed for a second maybe Miro is actually unconscious, and the ref was just like, whoa, we're done now. You don't have to put on the guillotine. It's over. But yeah, that was such a hard hitting match. Those two guys beat the tar out of each other.
Hot
Loved
take
this match.
And I'm really having to dig deep to see if I can counter this statement myself. But this might have been my favorite Miro match ever. And that goes back.
I mean, we can throw out the I can't remember. I'm sure he had fine matches as Rusev. I can't remember anything that's been like better as the Eddie Kingston match. Oh, Will, you were there as well. Like that. That was a great match.
That was really good.
And that was a great match.
Yeah, it's pretty much like those two.
I really enjoyed the Darby match. It wasn't like as long, but like the story they told in that match, I really enjoyed that match. It's probably those three. I'd probably put Darby third. I'd have to, maybe I need to rewatch the Eddie match because not being there, I'm probably clouded being there live.
Right.
And I haven't watched it on tape. So maybe, otherwise I'm going to say the Eddie match, but look, if you want to go the Bryan match, I'm completely fine with that.
That match tonight was one of my all timers. Just personally, my own personal taste. Those two guys just like when Miro's like, kick me in the ribs as hard as you can, and Daniel Bryan is like, okay, like that thing was just so great.
This is Danielson's fault, by the way. He's like, kick me in the, and he's just like, yeah, sure, I'll do what this man. He's got a taped leg. Go with a leg kick inside leg kick. What are you doing, Bryan?
Him not actually going for the taped leg, maybe go, that's a bad wheel, and he needs to have that looked at. And so he's like, we made an agreement. We're not gonna do that, which is odd because like it feels like Danielson would be like, oh, that's a weak point. I'm gonna destroy that thing, but they didn't. So I think he's probably gonna get something looked at.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you on that because Danielson is definitely smart enough. Okay, if you're gonna take the leg, this is the leg I'm gonna target, and he didn't target it once. So it does seem like this is why he didn't target it, because it's not in great shape, and try not to make it any worse. Stephen Williams says every Danielson match is a dream match. It feels like it.
It does.
Again, the absolute goat, Bryan Danielson. Falls Count Anywhere match, Super Click against Jurassic Express and Christian Cage. They did not do tags immediately like we saw later in the evening. They immediately pretty much just like went to the outside. So we had tacks, we had tables, we had chairs, we had ladders, we had Christian jumping off the balcony, a little bit of everything. We had Adam Cole getting busted open in this match. The finish saw Jungle Boy hit the concerto on Matt after Christian was setting up for it. And Jungle Boy said, nope, I'm ready. Earlier in the match, Christian was going to hit the concerto, I believe, on Cole. And he gave the chair to Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy hesitated and got cut off. And so later in the match, he was like, all right, let's do this. He did it. Jungle Boy became Jungle Jack. And the Jurassic Express and Christian Cage go over the Super Click. Alex, your thoughts?
I thought this was fun. Like, this was just a fun thing. I like that the baby faces came out in jeans. Even the dinosaur was wearing jeans. And the heels were like, we're wearing pink stuff. Look at our pink gear.
They were so mad.
Painted pink goatee.
Commentary was so mad about this, by the way. Tony Schiavone was just like, look at these twerps. Look at these assholes.
Nothing is better than Tony Schiavone being just like a total homer for every baby face on the show.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. I thought this was all fine. Some of the spots were great and everything, and then that's done. There's a story they're telling with Jungle Boy and Christian, and I don't know what it is just yet. But for me, I've always looked at the concerto as a heel thing. Like, you could kill a man doing that. So he better have like murdered your dog, or like your revenge is a little outsized for me. So Christian insisting that Jungle Boy do it, and Jungle Boy's like, well, I don't need to kill a guy. And then later, like, no, I'm ready to kill a guy. Like, that was like, is it, I've always thought that we're going to have Christian turn heel on Jungle Boy, but maybe it's Christian bringing Jungle Boy to the dark side as his Padawan. Like, that's an interesting thing for me that they might be doing.
I don't know if, heel Jungle Boy.
No, I'm saying that he's trying to, but that Jungle Boy will see that this is not. I don't want it. Like, this is the thing. Gotcha. Like, he's like, yes, I trust you, Christian. If you're telling me to try and end this man's career, I will do it because I trust you. And then maybe it's going to be even weirder, more over the line stuff that he eventually says, no. Why are we doing this? And that's what's going to cause Christian to turn on him. I think that could be something that they're trying to do.
And then Christian throws him in a fire pit.
There you go.
Jungle Vader at the end of all of this.
Yeah, this was, I think, I wasn't sure what this match was going to be. And honestly, I was concerned about having this match on the same card as the Minneapolis street fight.
Yep.
Because I was like, I wonder what they're going to do similarly and differently. And turned out there was a lot of similarities. But what I didn't count on this match being was, like you mentioned, this was Jungle Boy became Jungle Jack, or I feel more accurately became Jungle Man. Like, dude has he's got a beard now, right? Like, all of a sudden he is we saw him in beard and jeans, and I didn't realize until the end of this match that this was the match to move Jungle Boy up a notch, that he moved up a level here. We got to see the story of, he went for the concerto on Cole and wasn't sure, and then got stopped in his tracks. And like the moment where Christian's going to hit the concerto on Matt Jackson, and Jungle Man now says, I'm ready. And he says, give it to me. I'm ready. And I thought one of two things could happen here. Either he like plasters Christian Cage with the chair and we just go like balls to the walls, dumbass booking, because why not? Or he does it and has his moment of finally having a moment of triumph over the Elite. Because like the Jurassic Express Elite stuff has been going on like a really long time. They faced each other at All Out 2020. And this is, and they've never really been able to get the better of the Elite guys, whether it was Jungle Boy winning the Casino Battle Royale earlier this year and facing Kenny Omega. Like, no matter what, he has not been able to get the better of the Elite. And this was his moment of finally beating the Elite. And for that, like, it was good. I think the match itself was a lot. I think you probably could have shaved like 10 minutes off of this and probably been fine. Because all of the spots themselves were all really good. And ultimately, I'm satisfied with the story that Jungle Boy and Jurassic Express have overcome the Elite. That said, I just felt like, man, this is going on and on and on.
I really liked all the stuff on the ramp, particularly because I liked watching the animated ramp.
Yes.
Like, that was really cool. And I think that if you have a Falls Count Anywhere match, like, just do it, all of it away from the ring, like that you're allowed to. So
did you have the concern, like I did, by the way, when he went for the concerto on the ramp, that he was going to like crack the screen? And I'm like, don't do it. But then he didn't. No, I agree with that, though, that all the ramp stuff was a lot of fun. And like Christian in the crowd, and probably my underrated performer of the year in Brandon Cutler, just continues to be
he's so great in that role.
He's so great. He is so great. And there was a lot that this match did deliver on, but for the most part, like I said, I just felt like it dragged for me. I'm curious what the actual match time was, because it just felt like it was going on forever. But let's see what it was. This match, give me a time, 22 minutes and 35 seconds. It is that the longest match on the show? I think it is. Really? No. The main event was. Main event went 3 minutes longer than this. So I don't know.
I know the first two matches were like they flew by, but like I knew they were kind of long because those first two matches, that was the first hour right there. Those first two matches. But I don't. Are you like using Wikipedia? Wikipedia is wrong a lot of times. Like
I mean, well, at the moment, Wikipedia has been vandalized because it says PC Monk defeated Kofi Kingston, and we've got the main event. It's been completely vandalized. American Alpha competed on this show.
Nice. Missed that shit. Missed that match.
Whoa,
good to see Jason Jordan back in the ring, though. That's good to hear. I thought Adam Cole bumped his ass off in this match on top of being busted open. They're going to abuse this thumbtack in the mouth spot, and it's already annoying me. Like they did it with Kingston, and like that was great when they did it, but I feel like they've done it about 100 times since then. Like Britt did it in the match with Abaddon, and it led to nothing, and then a roll-up ended up winning. They're going to abuse this thing. I did like the thumbtack knees. I don't understand why all three men needed a pin. Like, one man can pin after something like that, and then the other man can kind of stand guard to make sure no one breaks it up. And instead, someone broke it up. But overall, I enjoyed it. It did feel pretty long. And yeah, if you shave some time off of it, it's probably a little bit better. Before we get into our next match, actually, let's do some quick super chats here. Nerd Guru says, I really hope Adam Cole gets his win back up. This Jurassic feud has been a stinker for him. I think he should beat Sammy for the title. I think it's been fine. I thought that. Yeah, I thought it was going to lead to a singles match with Christian. I'm not fully ruling that out. Luis is noting that it was 22:20 per cage match. I would definitely trust the cage match times over the Wikipedia.
Oh, I'm sorry, it was off 15 seconds.
Okay.
That's the case.
God, Luis. Reese Power says Jungle Boy stole that match. The rolling motion he showed in every stage of that finishing concerto was amazing for character development. Flim Flam Man Drew says, what a concerto. Jungle Boy became Jungle Man. Jeff Claiborne says, Jungle Boy, I'm ready. Jungle Boy grew up and committed his first murder. Disabled 37 says, how are we not getting over a dinosaur hitting a shooting star press? Great.
That was insane. Yeah.
Insane. Yeah.
I did like the touch of Adam Cole learning from Britt, who put tacks in Abaddon's mouth and then did I see when I put tacks in Abaddon's mouth? Like, I like that spot, honey. I'm going to do that in my next match. And then he stuffed thumbtacks in Jungle Boy's mouth.
They're abusing that spot. It's not like Britt was the first person to do it. Like
I
appreciate the connection between those two, because obviously they would have talked about it.
The Bucks did it with Kingston. They did it with Penta as well at All Out, if I recall correctly. They're gonna abuse that spot. That should be something like big time. You're putting tacks in this man's mouth and kicking him. I think that was the finish of the Kingston match, was it not? They're gonna abuse it. Knock it off. They're gonna make this the new Canadian Destroyer. Tacks in somebody's mouth. Don't do that. Let's go to a word from our sponsors.
Surely you didn't think that just because I'm not physically on this show that we would shave off our ad reads, right? Oh no. Because we're busy shaving something else off, my friends. Make sure you have those manicured nuts with Manscaped. Get 20% off plus free shipping if you use the code FIGHTFUL at manscaped.com. Oh man, you don't want to look like you've gone through a main event match with your nutsack when you're trying to care for them. And Manscaped makes sure that you don't with that Perfect Package 4.0. The hygiene bundle includes the Lawnmower 4.0, Weed Whacker, Boxers Travel Kit, and liquid formulations. That Lawnmower 4.0 is waterproof with advanced skin-safe technology to reduce nicks and cuts and even has a light to help you with your close shave. The Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer. Make sure you whack those nasty weeds in your delicate holes. And it also has proprietary skin-safe technology. But even beyond that, you get the boxers. You get the travel bag. They've got a foot duster. They've got a crop reviver. It's a ball toner, of all things. Plus the crop preserver to prevent chafing. Manscaped.com. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code FIGHTFUL. Manscaped.com.
I won't get enough credit for Will talking about shaving off match time and me going right into the ad read about shaving balls, but I would like credit, please, on that. Andrade and Malachi Black, all dressed in black. Actually, Andrade was playing for the New York Yankees. Sorry. Cody and Pac, all dressed in black. This match was about 45 minutes, I'm pretty sure. And the finish was Cody and Pac won. Too long for my liking. Just too long. I was hoping this was going to be like a solid 12-minute kind of sprint type thing. It was, can they coexist? They all kind of coexisted. It was fine. There was nothing bad about it, but the crowd just they were down on this. This match really brought the crowd down, and they were hot for everything all night, and it brought me down as well. Will, your thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of got dinner during this match.
What'd you have, Will? What'd you have for dinner?
I had a pork roast, and I popped it in the oven right at the start of the show, and I'm like, all right, this is going to be ready right in time for this match, and it was, and that was what I had, and then I ate pie. But I will say I did make it through the entrances, and I was paying it attention most throughout. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how many people, I was noticing in the arena. Our friend Cher was there and posted a bathroom selfie from the arena of this is my bathroom break match, which is surprising. I mean, it's surprising for who's in it, right? That this was kind of the cool down match for so many people. And that, I guess that's all I could say. I noticed a lot of people were unhappy with Cody's presence in the match. I'm shocked that people are still pushing for the heel turn for him. You're not going to get it. It's not going to happen. Except in the sense that you are. Cody has already illustrated the point of the absurdity of the statement that we'd like you more if you turned heel. And he's like, but that's the opposite of how that's supposed to work. And yeah, as far as the match itself was concerned, I got back into it right around the point of course, this being a can they coexist kind of match. And Pac hit, it was a dive to the outside, and he ended up hitting Cody, and that was when it kind of got my attention again, and that was probably the last 5 minutes of the match, and that finishing stretch was fine, and Pac won.
Alex?
AEW doesn't do can they coexist stuff, so them doing it was interesting to me. In this circumstance, yes, we know that Pac and Cody have nothing in common except for they both hate these two guys. And I liked that, as we were going on, Malachi and Andrade are tenuous friends at best. And so when neither of them can put away Pac, they get kind of no, well, tag me in and I'll do it. I thought that was kind of cool because these guys are two basic assholes who probably wouldn't like anybody, so they're not best buds. I appreciate that kind of eroding as the match went on, and I loved the fact that they started the match with Pac and Cody not getting along at all because they have nothing in common besides the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I really liked the spot where Cody didn't like being tagged in, and it was yelling at Pac, and then turned around and ate the black mass, and then just slept on the side outside the ring for 15 minutes. That was great. And then the story was, can Pac survive long enough to be able to tag Cody? And when Cody wakes up, and he gets over to the corner, and he's not there, and he's just yelling at him, "Get up! Why don't you come over here and tag me?" That was great to me. This was a ridiculous, weird. This match, I think, would have been way better if it was on a Dynamite.
Yeah.
Like, this was the match that there was the last match they added, and it doesn't need to be on this show, and you can take it off, and then the match, the thing wouldn't feel so long. Like, the crowd was dead by the time the women came out, and that's not the women's fault. That's their match placement and the fact that it's too long of a show. So this match could be excised and run on Dynamite, and probably would have gotten a much better reaction. The ending was weird. I love Pac getting the victory, Pac basically like kind of cementing this feud with Andrade, at least for now, by getting a clean victory over him in this match. And then Cody being like, everyone must attack me, so I am the most important person in this match. Everyone come down here and attack me. And so they did. And then it was so funny. He was rolling around on the ground outside the ring after being attacked. And he has the girl to say, "Is Pac okay? Where's Pac? Is Pac all right?" Like, you don't care about Pac, you jerk. I thought it was so great how the crowd was booing everything he was doing. And he was like looking around like, "What, me? Why would you boo me?" It's the silliest, weirdest thing that AEW does. It's so odd.
You know, I'll give Cody credit. One thing that's felt different about Cody's involvement here is it's a little bit refreshing from the Cody we've gotten for the last year, because one of the things that a lot of people, including myself, have felt about Cody is that he has felt so detached from everything happening in AEW that, like, the Shaq feud felt like it kind of was happening on a different show, and like all the stuff with QT Marshall felt like it was happening on a different planet. And like Cody's just didn't really feel like he was a part of anything else going on in AEW. None of his feuds like intertwined with anything else. Nothing with QT Marshall or Anthony Ogogo was like happening with anybody else on the roster. And him tagging with Pac and him being involved with Malachi and Andrade suddenly felt like, okay, Cody's a part of the show again. He is actually a part of AEW again, and he's not just kind of doing a separate show inside the show, if that makes sense.
Hannah mentioning the crow she is eating after being caught on camera singing Judas. I love the Codyverse. I want more Codyverse, honestly. Let him be detached from everything and do his own shit. I don't need him in this stuff. Andrade, Malachi, Pac, let them keep doing their own thing. I want Cody to be detached from all this stuff. It's what makes it so great with the heel turn, everybody booing him and stuff. That he is in his own little world. I don't want him blending into all of this stuff. That's the brilliance of Cody. I love Cody.
I know. I think the Codyverse has been just a great thing for the last year, but it has been refreshing to see Cody be a part of just normal AEW storylines again. And this felt like the first match where he was involved with other people in the company.
I don't want that. I don't want Cody feeling part of this company. I want Cody doing his own shit. That's the Cody Rhodes that I love. Hannah says, "I'm ashamed, but also Hangman is the champ, so I'll survive. You'll be okay." It was a great moment.
And see, Hannah, the lesson here is don't stand for anything. That's all.
Apex Caliber says, Cody seems like a mix of Triple H and John Cena. It's annoying. Please do not put Cody and John Cena in that category. Thank you. J-Po says, "We want Malachi Black as a killer, but we are getting a story about Cody because Cody fucking rules. That's why you're getting a story about Cody." Malachi and his lore. He's going to bring in Brody King and Bud Matt, hopefully. It'll be fine. Malachi will be okay. It's not like he did lose the one match to Cody. Andrade losing here was sort of surprising because I think Andrade kind of has like star potential. Now he's lost kind of 2 matches. He's playing for the Yankees, so I guess he can't win them all because the Yankees don't win anymore. So I'm with you guys. Like it felt like it just should have been a Dynamite match. The crowd was brought down so much that it's like, oh man, it didn't fit. It didn't fit. And it is a long show. And I think for the most part, AEW shows fly by, but they're also 4 hours long.
Yeah.
And that's just very long.
I mean, I would have been much more interested in a pay-per-view match of just straight up Malachi versus Pac for 12 minutes. Just let them kick the shit out of each other. Like Pac has a reason to hate Malachi. Malachi's cost him that match or attacked him before. Just book that as opposed to this, which just it feels like a weird storyline from like a WWE video game where they would shoehorn a guy into a storyline if you're playing like career mode that he has no business being a part of. Like, why am I teaming with Triple H all of a sudden? That doesn't make any sense. That's what it feels like. And like, I don't
do not compare Cody to Triple H. Don't do this.
I honestly think it was I legit believe that Tony Khan just kind of realized that he backed himself into a slight corner over the fact that, like, let's say this match got cut from the pay-per-view simply because it just wasn't right. The problem is all 4 of these guys missed the last pay-per-view.
That's true.
And that Andrade versus Pac got cut from All Out. Cody wasn't, he was filming the Go Big Show, and that left Malachi off of All Out as well. So as a result, all 4 of these guys missed the last one. Yeah. And I think they were just kind of in a bit of a corner and like, we've got to get these guys on the show again. Just
look, that's fine.
Throw them on there.
Give them the show. I don't need this match going 45 minutes. Okay. Mm-hmm. Do a fun little sprint type of thing. This match just felt so long, and it bled into the next match of Ty Conti and am I willfully ignoring the pedigree teases? It's not a pedigree. He did the Tiger Driver. That's what he did. Like, it's a Tiger Driver tease. He's not teasing the pedigree. Should do the pedigree. I think it'd be great if he did it. Then he'd just suck it after he does the pedigree. This is lean fully into it. He rules, unlike Triple H. It bled into the next match, the AEW Women's Championship match, Britt Baker against Ty Conti. The crowd, this is not the women's fault. They worked very hard, and by the end, they got the crowd behind them.
Yeah, I would say the crowd got into it.
Yeah, exactly. But they were working hard from the start, and the crowd just did not care. 1, I think this is bad placement after that match that no one really cared about. 2, I don't think this feud was very good. The context of the feud with your ass is fake and all this stuff, and sort of the your ass kind of slept your way to the top and we know why you're here type of deal. I didn't like any of that. I thought they did a disservice to both these women, and it was very paint by numbers of, okay, here's Ty Conti being a bad friend and saving Anna Jay after these attacks very late. Britt Baker used to be the best thing about the women's division. She's still very good, but for some reason they took the mic away from her and just had her do like 1 minute backstage promos. And the whole lead up to this and the source material of these promos were not very good. And the crowd kind of treated it as such of like, oh yeah, you guys haven't invested like too much time for this match outside of just very simplistic stuff. So we're not going to invest too much in it. Both women worked really hard. They did get the crowd into it by the end, and I thought it was a very good match. Ty Conti rules. Love the trios kick to the face in the corner. It's the greatest spot in wrestling. Love Ty Conti just kicking people in the face. The lockjaw got countered, but Britt countered the roll up for a roll up of her own to get the victory. Will, what do you think of this match?
So I think there's one other piece missing here, and because I agree with everything you said. I think Britt is suffering from what I would call the Roman problem to a smaller extent. And that is that Britt hasn't necessarily had credible opponents. And that's not to say that that's not a knock on Ty in any way, but the fact that at no point did I ever believe for a second that she was the one to dethrone. Like, I feel like if you're going to have a long reign like that, I need to at least have the reign be in doubt from time to time, and Britt hasn't had it be remotely in doubt at all. And when the fans don't have that doubt in place, it's kind of hard for them to get into things from the start. I think the match did a good job of creating that doubt, that there were times throughout the match where it felt like, oh, okay, I could actually see Ty winning this. And I think that helped the crowd buy into it. But I think going into it, everybody in that building was like, all right, this is Britt's next retention and she's on to the next thing. And I think as long as a reign is booked that way, it's hard to get people into matches from the start. And this match had that problem. It had some really cool, inventive spots. I actually, I didn't necessarily like that Ty's finishers weren't protected in the same ways that Britt's were, because Lockjaw has been extremely protected pretty much all year. And Ty hit everything. She hit the Ty KO, she hit the DD Ty, and all her other names that I love the names of. I wasn't necessarily a fan of not protecting her nearly as much, because when she hit them, it was just straight up kickouts. And you do have Rebel at ringside, you do have Jamie Hayter at ringside to protect Ty in that sense, and you didn't really utilize that, but you still had them interfere anyway. So I wasn't a huge fan of that, but I was a fan of what these two put on out there in order to get the crowd back into it. I love Ty, and I think Britt is, it's hard to say this about a world champion, but because of the conversations that are had around her, I will say slightly underrated as far as being an in-ring performer.
Alex?
I thought Ty worked so hard to get this match to where it needed to be. I mean, Britt doesn't need to. She's kind of like there and she does the stuff that she does, and she's great at it. And she's, as you said, Will, she's only as strong. A great heel champ is only as strong as their babyface contenders. And I think Ty worked so hard to make this match believable that Ty could win, because she's a judoka. She's awesome. She could kick your friggin' head off. And she made me believe, even though I knew she wasn't going to win. And that's not her fault. And the thing of it is that they had somebody ready-made to be, I'm not talking about Thunder Rosa, who I think is the person we all believe is going to take the belt away from Britt whenever, I guess, they're ready for it. But they had somebody ready-made to be a long Britt Baker feud, and they just stopped it after one match. Like Ruby Soho coming in as over as she was, that promo battle they had on one Rampage leading up to that match, like you had the thing about the way that this, I abhor rematch after rematch after rematch after rematch on the other channel, but occasionally somebody getting a rematch because, let's say, the heel champ cheated blatantly to get the victory. Like maybe you could stretch one of Britt's challengers into a 2 or 3 match feud, as opposed to one and done, we're moving on. And I feel like that is kind of, it doesn't, you don't have time to like latch on to somebody's like, oh, I really believe this is the time to do it, because well, Ty's going to get her match and then she's going to lose. And then she goes to the back of the line and then we get somebody else up. And we don't have ever time to actually build a heated rivalry or whatever. The one person we have that real history with for Britt, because it predates Britt's reign as champ, is Thunder Rosa. And so I'm saying, like, eventually,
I feel like we could have had that, by the way, with Chris Statlander, because that was another one that they walked away from way too quickly when like she and Britt had history, and like it's like people forgot and they didn't even address it, that going into Britt's injury that had her out all that time, she was feuding with Chris Statlander. It was scheduled to face Chris Statlander at Double or Nothing, and that match got changed to Chris Statlander versus Penelope Ford at Double or Nothing. But that was supposed to be the match. And like you could have done so much more with that. And I feel like they kind of, it was just a one and done and they abandoned it. And I thought Chris Statlander could have been Then actually, I'll leave that for I guess super chats. But I felt like Chris Statlander probably could have been one of the opponents to at least really make us put her reign in doubt. Because right now, that's the problem I'm having with Britt Baker's reign. At no point is it feeling like it's in doubt. And I need it to in order for her to feel like a stronger champion. Because when a heel overcomes those doubt moments, that is when they truly feel like somebody who has crushed your dreams. And I don't know how we get back there.
It's been very odd that the best thing about the women's division during the pandemic era was Britt Baker, and people are just like, "Oh, just wait until you put the title on her. Like then it's going to really elevate things." Where she was just kind of a background player throughout the pandemic era to Britt Baker, and then once they put the title on her, now Britt has become like this background player to the TBS title tournament and Ruby Soho coming in and this other stuff. Again, I don't know why they kind of like took the mic away from her in longer promo segments, just been kind of short backstage interview stuff. And it doesn't make any sense to me. Mike Provinger 2 says the women's title match never fully clicked to me, but the highs of that match were extremely high. That moonsault was wild. Yeah, great Charlotte Flair tributes by all involved on that one. Taryn Reddick says Britt and Rosa is where the doubt and the money is. I'm fairly certain that's where they're going. And Pacers Fan Forever says, who do you see taking the title off of Britt? I think it's Rosa.
Yeah, Thunder Rosa. Yeah, for sure.
Alex?
Yeah, no, if for some reason like Rosa isn't available, like God forbid she would get hurt or something, like you can't keep it on Britt forever. I think that Statlander and Ruby Soho to me is the natural one, because I thought that segment where they were insulting each other on the mic was magic. Like they never let their women do that. And I thought it was really unique. And I think Ruby's so over with the crowd. You could easily have made that into something besides the one and done, and Ruby falls back down the card. This TBS title tournament is awesome. But I wonder how that's going to muddy the waters as far as who's number one contender for what, once we actually have that title on whoever it's on. I would love to see something like Britt Baker has to beat Serena Deeb. How does Britt Baker beat Serena fucking Deeb? Like, she's a killer. Like, I would love to see that kind of a match, because we haven't seen Britt have that kind of, like, every heel champion should have one person they come across that they legitimately fear is going to take their title. And how do they respond to that particular kind of adversity? Britt is super confident, and she should be, but there's got to be somebody she comes up against that she is like, I don't want to wrestle that person. That person's going to beat me. Like that kind of a thing. Like the chink in her armor would be a really interesting story to tell, but they're not telling more than one story at a time, which they really need to be now. Like they gotta be doing a non-title feud that lasts.
And I will say they're telling a couple stories right now, in that they have the Sheeta Deep story going right now. They just all seem to be away from Britt, because you got the Sheeta Deep story, but then you also have Red Velvet and Jade Cargill, but then you also have Jade Cargill and Thunder Rosa, right? And like there's like a few stories that are kind of like all intertwining, and they're all being told throughout this TBS title tournament. So the TBS title tournament just as a whole is kind of like taken over as far as what they're presenting with the women's division. I think another name that isn't really thrown out there, I think you could revisit Sheeta, like if for whatever reason Thunder Rosa like wasn't available, like in that you could do maybe a back and forth trade. Because like one of the things people don't talk about a lot, and Sheeta just recently talked about this in an interview, was where she talked about why she was taken off of TV, and she specifically said she requested to be taken off of TV because she felt like she wasn't and keep in mind, for those who don't know me, I'm a massive Hikaru Shida fan, so like literally if Jeremy over here puts up an article of a Hikaru Shida interview that he has been up till 2:00 in the morning transcribing, I'm probably reading it. But so what's kind of cool though is listening to her talk about the fact that she felt like she wasn't bringing enough to the table as far as the stuff outside of the ring, and she's been taking acting classes and things like that, and she felt like she wanted to be off TV for a little while until she felt she had that to bring to the table, and now she feels like she's got that. And you can see it. You can see it in this feud with Serena Deeb, that there's a lot of the little things outside of the ring that she's been doing that you maybe didn't see from her before. And I like that. And I feel like maybe I want to see her as champ again to see what she brings to the table this time around. So that's another thing. And that could be cool.
She's been watching Sherlock Holmes, and that's how she's gotten better at promos. It was a real thing she said, everybody.
That's what she said.
R26 story-wise, Britt's title reign has been boring. They haven't invested as much as I thought they were when she got the title. Nerd Guru says, if not Rosa or Ruby, dethroning Britt to Mega Babe. Mega Babyface new assigning Athena.
No, I am, and I also love Athena. But if AEW goes its entire existence without ever bringing somebody in and crowning them champion, they've done a service to me, because that is my least favorite thing in pro wrestling. I think it undermines the entire division you have, no matter what it is, whether it's your tag team division, your women's division, any division that you have going for you. If you bring somebody in from the outside and immediately have them win the highest prize of that division, you have undermined everything you're doing. And TNA was the king of that. They love doing that. They just did it with the Inspiration, and that drives me nuts. NXT does it. I don't ever want to see AEW do it as long as they exist, ever.
Well, J-Po says Ember Moon thrown in the mix will take this division to the next level. So, like, I'm fine with Ember Moon getting in the mix. I'm kind of with Will. Like, you don't need to crown her immediately.
Don't ever do that. No, there's never a scenario where that's the right call. I promise. Unless it's like a Brock Lesnar scenario where like they just rip through people quickly. But again, I don't want to see it be somebody from another place. Like if it's somebody that you brought in that is your pet project and you bring them in to destroy whatever it is you've laid the foundation for, fine. Even still, that needs to be a rarity. The fact that Brock Lesnar is kind of like the most successful story there, it's going to be a while before I still ever want to see that again.
What do you consider being brought in and made champion? Like if Danielson were to beat Hangman, has he been brought in and made champion? Or how long do they have to be in the company before they're eligible to? I'm just curious, like how long?
So like Bryan is kind of making the exception, right? Because Bryan, I still wouldn't crown Bryan champion because there's a lot of kind of built-in stories with AEW right now, and that like MJF probably to me feels like the next world champion after Hangman. There's a lot of other stuff I'd like to see before we get there. But if you went the Bryan route, then the route you have to take is doing what Bryan's doing, which is competing every friggin' week and winning, like constantly winning and going on a tear in a way where suddenly now it doesn't necessarily feel like Bryan doesn't even feel like an outsider right now because he has competed every single week since he debuted or since he had that first match. And he is somebody who feels like he is assimilated into the roster and is a part of it and has worked his way up. So like he's one of those guys I don't mind seeing there. But at the same time, no, I don't think he should win the title. And he's my favorite wrestler of all time. And I still don't want to see him win the title. I want to see more happen from the ground swelling that is AEW.
CM Punk and Eddie Kingston, they kicked the shit out of each other. It fucking ruled.
Potatoes.
And CM Punk won with the GTS. Those are my thoughts on this match. It fucking ruled. Alex, your thoughts?
My thoughts are this was a cathartic, emotional experience. It was not necessarily a wrestling match. These two guys, they fought. They fought for real in front of us. My God. The fact that the match didn't start before Eddie got in a shot with that back fist and then so just good. Celebrated for it. Like the thing I wanted the most from this match actually happened, but they didn't go as far with it as I wanted. Eddie Kingston will be cheered in a match in AEW versus anybody. I don't think there's anybody you could put in a match that the crowd isn't going to eventually during the match say, we want that guy. We want Eddie. Like if you make us choose, we're choosing that guy. Now, there were a bunch of both these guys chants, and there was some CM Punk, like, let's go, Eddie, CM Punk. Like, there was a bunch of that. But by the end, when the crowd started booing CM Punk, throwing those elbows to a basically passed out Kingston between the first GTS and the second one, and Punk noticed and started looking around like, the hell are you people doing? Like, I'm the good guy here. I came back. I'm the conquering hero from 7 years away. You guys cheer me like crazy doing stage dives. And you're cheering this bum over me? Like, there was that moment where he started looking around like, I don't understand what the reaction I'm getting right now is. And then he put him away. And then to prove he's still the nice guy, Mr. Charles Montgomery Punk holds out the hand to, like, I'm the nice guy. I'm the bigger man. Look how much of a bigger man I am. Shake my hand, Eddie. And Eddie rightly says, fuck you, and leaves. Like, then he says to himself, see, that proves you should have been cheering me the whole time. I think this is the catalyst for Punk to eventually be like, what are we doing here, folks? Am I your conquering hero or am I not? Because I don't like this mixed reaction I'm getting. Like, there's a moment that Punk is moving toward that moment where he looked around at the crowd booing him. Like, I don't understand what I'm hearing right now. Like, I got goosebumps from it. I was like, this felt so much like Bret Hart basically doing the meme of, why are you booing me? I'm right. Like, there's this, it's so cool that they can tell that story. And the thing of it is, this match felt visceral and real and electric. And the feud started by accident 2 weeks ago. Can you imagine if they figured out a way to, like, extend this thing over the course of the same amount of time that Hangman and Kenny got, so that when, not if, when Punk is champion, the guy to dethrone him is Eddie Kingston. Like, that's what I'm looking for. Like, I said that this, like, Hangman beating Kenny is the end of the AEW Cinematic Universe Phase 1. Phase 2 starts now, and I think Phase 2 ends with Punk getting dethroned by Eddie Kingston. It's a similar storyline they can work in all kinds of magical ways.
You know, there's a lot to unpack there, because so thinking about, first off, CM Punk, and that there's been a lot of discussion about what CM Punk we've been getting since he's been back, right? That a lot of people were like, man, I wanted, CM Punk with a chip on his shoulder, and this is just happy to be here, CM Punk. And, I understand that conversation, but I always had the question of, but what chip could CM Punk possibly have on his shoulder? Like, he genuinely seems like a happy guy to be there. He genuinely seems like somebody who is happy doing what he's doing. And he also doesn't seem to be fighting the system. I don't know where the animosity for CM Punk can come from. And then you saw it tonight, that it comes from the fans, that the fans ultimately picked somebody else over him in a scenario where CM Punk wasn't necessarily the bad guy. Now, that said, obviously there's a lot they very much saw coming here. I think they've heard these reactions for Kingston. They heard it in the Bryan match. We heard it in the CM Punk promo. They knew CM Punk did the Cena spot. Like, the first time he hit the shoulder tackle, my brain went, that's not a thing CM Punk does. And he hit a second one, and I thought, I think I see where this is going. And then he hits the proto bomb and then raises his hand, and we're like, okay, he definitely is leaning into the idea that in this version of the Voice of the Voiceless feud, CM Punk has become John Cena. And so I dug that, and I appreciate him recognizing his role in all of this. And he talked about in his interview with, or Eddie Kingston did in the interview with Louis Dangor, that there's some Cena Punk Easter eggs in there that they've been laying since this all started. I will say, I kind of got the perfect amount of time out of this feud. That as far as the contents were concerned, honestly, if they never even did the parking lot stuff from this past Wednesday, I was pretty like thinking about how hot the crowd was for this after, and I'm stealing a point from Sean in his tweet. After one promo, really, I guess we had one confrontation backstage, a promo from Punk, a confrontation promo, and a video package, and that's it. And that was all this crowd needed to feel everything that they needed to feel for this. That sometimes you do need a Hangman Kenny type feud that goes on forever. And then sometimes you just need it laid out of like, this is why I hate you. This is why I have a problem with you. This is why I have a problem with you. Well, fuck you, let's fight. Like, that is really all I needed to feel this. And I felt this match. And like I said, if you're into hash browns or French fries, this match had plenty of potatoes because they were just laying them in there. And this match felt rough. It felt gritty. It felt real. I liked it. This was great in a different way than everything else on this card was great.
Stephen Williams says, no long boys or trunks. CM Shorts is where it's at. Oscar Villanueva says, the Cena spot had me on my feet freaking out. CM Punk is such a natural heel. Hope they use Eddie to further turn Punk. Reese Power says, were Eddie and Punk attempting to break the record for the amount of times to say F you in a match? Possibly. The bad one, Jam Beard, says, CM, the doctor of Punkonomics. And Speed Punk says, everybody forgets Eddie Kingston is part of Second Gear Crew from GCW. Can't wait till Mance hears up so we can see them reunited on television. I don't know if that's going to happen. It would be cool. Like I'm all for it. I don't know if that's where they're going with all of this. Like I love this. There's a lot of different ways you can go with this. If it's CM Punk, I just love that Eddie Kingston has brought happy-go-lucky Phil and kicked him to the curb and is like, this is who you really are. You're a fucking prick. And I'm going to show the world that. And CM Punk, again, he can keep playing happy-go-lucky Phil of this. Like, see, I'm a nice guy, whatever. But that full heel turn's going to come. And I think they've been laying the groundwork for it with this. I
mean, we talked about it on Grap City earlier today. Like, that's a real thing, right? Like, if somebody's wronged you, but like all of a sudden you see they're kind of a changed man, but to you, you're like, no, you don't get to change until I say you get to change because you have not paid for what you did to me. So cut all that shit. We're done with that. Like, I want the old you so I can check the old you, then go on about being the new you. That's real stuff, right? Like that's real life stuff that happens all the time. And I dug all of that. And I thought it was a good way of kind of pulling CM Punk away from being, I guess, happy-go-lucky Phil, which again feels real. Like I don't complain about that because I look at it like, no, this is like a guy who missed this and missed having a reason to feel like this. So I don't hate that version of CM Punk at all.
I didn't hate it. I was just waiting for that dick CM Punk to come out, and we got it. Minneapolis Street Fight Inner Circle against Men of the Year, an American Talk Team. These guys hated each other so much they decided to respect the rules of professional wrestling and hold on to the tag rope to begin things. It finally broke down. We had hockey sticks, we had footballs, we had a Prince sign. The end saw Chris Jericho and Dan Lambert in the ring. And Chris Jericho hit him with a kendo stick, hit him with a stapler, and then went to the Amigos and hit the frog splash for the victory. And he paid tribute to Eddie Guerrero. Please let this be the end of it. It was a nice moment for Jericho to pay tribute to Eddie. Please let this be the end of this feud. Alex?
I had to look it up to be correct, but just to make sure it was correct. But apparently, the toaster was invented in Minneapolis, so at least that was an actual factual thing from this match.
There you go. But the cool nods to Minneapolis were fine. They did 2 street fights on a show, and you started a street fight with let's do tags in and out. It didn't go. Couldn't they rent the Mall of America for a night? Couldn't they film after it closed and do the street fight there? Like, that would have been cool, right? Should have done that. Alex, what do you think?
Well, this match was a literal bathroom break for me. So I missed the first half of it, or however long it was. I couldn't believe it was still going on by the time I got back from doing a bunch of stuff upstairs.
What were you doing in that bathroom? Like,
no, there was bathroom, and then I had to checked on my daughter who's sick and she's asleep. I want to make sure she was okay, whatever, all kinds of stuff. I was like, I don't care about this match, so I'm gonna go and do it because the only time I can't pause the damn feed, so I couldn't pause it and then fast forward back through it. I just had to leave at some point. This was the time I had to leave. So I come back, and Ethan Page is getting assaulted by a 150-year-old man at ringside. And then
that was Chris Jericho.
Yeah. That's funny. and then he gets dumped over the barricade. I'm like, well, that's the guy I like the most in this whole thing. Him and Scorpio Sky. How are they doing? Scorpio Sky, I see, is laid out at ringside. Well, now I don't really care about any of this because I do love Santana Ortiz, and I like Sammy Guevara fine, but they've got that Jericho and Hager stink on them, and I'm kind of done. I'm done with the Inner Circle entirely. Just entirely, I don't want to see him anymore. I want Proud and Powerful to go be a tag team, have awesome tag matches. You guys rule. Get away from Jericho. He's dragging you down. I want Sammy Guevara. Everyone told me it was fine. Sammy Guevara needed to beat Miro because Sammy Guevara is white hot and they got to do all this amazing stuff with him. And I feel like he had that one title defense versus Bobby Fish. And then he had that thing versus Ethan Page. It was kind of a title defense, but it really wasn't because we knew he was definitely going to win because of the stipulation involved. And now he's moving on to do this other thing we're going to talk about in a bit. But I feel like if he's going to be the TV champion, make him the TV champion. And then Jericho hit a guy in the balls with a stapler and hit a frog splash, and it's over. Is it over? Can it be over now, please? This feud has always been a thing that I didn't like, and now it's over. Thank God. There are people in this feud who deserve to move on and do much better things. I would like for that to be a thing.
I don't think it's over. I think
what?
No, I don't. I think the bigger picture is over, but they have been teasing, and we're not. They even teased it in this match. We got some samples of it, but they've pretty much been teasing since the start of this feud that this has to kind of end with Scorpio Sky versus Sammy Guevara.
That's fine. That's a different feud. Anything that doesn't involve America's top team is a different feud.
Oh,
to me,
I think it's going to continue to evolve them because I think that
I hate them so much.
I think they are going to end up taking the TNT title, and I just do.
I love Scorpio Sky. I think
I love
great.
Scorpio Sky too.
If he's the next TNT champion, that's great. He doesn't need Dan Lambert speaking for him ever again.
Factual.
Yeah.
He's good enough on the mic by himself.
This match was something. So yeah, they explained what a Minneapolis street fight is because obviously you go to any city, you can just slap street fight on it, and you have a match for that city. Except they went the extra mile. Somebody actually did go to I guess a website called Minnesota by Design, where they went and looked up everything that was invented in the city of Minneapolis and thereby could be used in this match as a weapon. And Excalibur did explain that the rules of this match are that the weapons that are at ringside are all things that come from Minneapolis. And apparently the toaster was invented by Charles P. Strite, as I have over here on my screen, who is from Stillwater, Minnesota. And so he was living there when he invented the pop-up toaster. So therefore, that was a weapon they could use. And they had what was kind of a print symbol. It was enough for the crowd to go, oh, I guess that's what that's supposed to be. But also probably different enough to not piss off trademark holders. because I'm like, that's not quite the Prince symbol, but I got what you were going for there. And the crowd chanted Purple Rain. And it's like, yeah, it was kind of cool. But other than that, like, this match was a whole bunch of plunder, and not in like a well thought out way like the Falls Count Anywhere match was. And we got to see, I guess, some showcase spots for Sammy Guevara. He got to do a pretty cool senton that the crowd or that the cameras almost missed. He got to do the big spot off the top of the ladder. And in the end, Dan Lambert got his by Chris Jericho. Yeah, he got stapled in the dick. And then we had our victory. Chris Jericho wins with the frog splash. I'm not sure who this was for. I take that back. I know exactly who it was for. It was for Cher, who was on camera singing Judas. So therefore, we recognize that this was for you.
J.K. Shaw says thoughts and prayers to our dear friend Cher. Cameras cutting to her screaming Judas live on pay-per-view is a tough look. There's also video, which I won't play because I don't want to get demonetized on this video. Zach Barber says Alex can hate all he wants. Jericho pinning Lambert with a frog splash to honor his friend was special. Did you hate that, Alex?
I didn't hate that he was honoring Eddie. I hated this feud. I'm happy if him honoring Eddie by hitting a frog splash to pin Dan Lambert, whom I also hate, means this feud is over. I will rejoice in the streets.
Cyclops better than Wolverine. Could have had Sheeta versus Deeb instead of this trash. And Cyclops versus Wolverine also says, me and my turtle have the same amounts of titles as Proud and Powerful. Mike Provinger says, at least Paige Van Zandt got her revenge, right? Sigh. J Poe says, Dan Lambert's kid is a Cody Mark. Zach Barber says, Sky found out what it feels like when doves cry. Diva Demon, our friend Issa, says, hi, I'm right next to Hannah, literally. I hope you guys have like gone to bed or something. Brent Lockman says, as a Canadian, I was offended by them implying that the hockey stick was invented in Minnesota. Not really, though. Not that level of weird, guys. There you go. Jay Lethal came out. He is all elite. He will face Sammy Guevara on Wednesday for the TNT Championship. Speed Punk says, I hope they do Lethal against Cody. That ROH match ruled. Thoughts on Jay Lethal signing with all
I didn't see this coming at all.
Yeah.
I don't recall there being any like hints of anything of the sort. And I figured that anybody from Ring of Honor wasn't going to be touched till the beginning of the year. So I was pretty much just surprised by this all around. Especially, we talked about this before the show, Jeremy, but when Tony Schiavone announces that there's going to be a new talent coming out and he goes, this young man. And I thought, oh, so it's somebody young. Okay. And then he says, Jay Lethal. And I went, what? And maybe it's just because I've been following him his whole career. But that was the part that threw me off. So I'm like, okay, it's not to knock Jay Lethal as somebody who's 36. I'm 34 and I don't consider myself old. But I will say that those weren't the words I would have used to describe Jay Lethal. I mean, he's young relative to Tony Schiavone, I guess. But this is a guy who's been around a long time and has a lot of business history, for better or worse. And
Cyclops better than Wolverine says, Jay Lethal, yikes, 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 yikes.
Yeah, I didn't see this coming at all. But I don't know. I don't know what the future holds as far as this signing is concerned. But Jay Lethal is all elite.
Alex?
Yeah, he's got some baggage. You could say he's got some baggage. I mean, I made the joke on Twitter that everybody knows that TK wants to sign Ric Flair, but you can't do that right now. So he got the next best thing. But also you probably like Jay Lethal hasn't had a dark side of the ring made about him, but he's also got some stuff in his past that's similar to the area that makes Ric Flair unsignable. So I don't know. It just feels like maybe this you're gonna like you have to run out and sign Jay Lethal. You have to. There are a lot of other free agents and soon to be free agents that you might just wait a while and then weigh Jay Lethal versus a Keith Lee or a Jonathan Gresham when Jonathan Gresham is done for the year. There are people you could sign other than Jay Lethal that just I've nothing against the man as in the ring. It just feels like, I don't know. It's just a weird thing to be like, yes, Jay Lethal's available. We got to run out and grab him. It just feel like a weird thing. Like, there's nobody like do a like, hey, let's do a quick Google search. Anytime you want to sign anybody, just Google their name plus accusations.
I mean, but
this pops up.
And here's the thing: this is Tony Khan. He's not offline at all. He's actually very online, and he's aware of all of this stuff. There's nothing that blindsides Tony Khan as far as anybody's wrestling history. We know that. Yep. So this had to be one of those things where obviously he weighed the pros and cons and decided, as far as he's concerned, there weren't enough cons, except him and his family, right? But I don't know, honestly, what this holds or what the future holds. I definitely wasn't calling for Jay Lethal. I wasn't expecting Jay Lethal. We'll see. I definitely would, and I also would not put the TNT title on him. As I said earlier, don't do that at all.
Cyclops better than Wolverine says Gresham is younger, better in the ring, and not a creep. I'm with both of you guys, and particularly Alex. Of like, you got a lot of guys on the roster. There's a lot of good free agents out there, and even more free in the next 30 to 90 days. Getting Jay Lethal is a choice. Another guy they did get will be on Dynamite, teaming with Orange Cassidy, Tomohiro Ishii. Daniel R says Ishii to AEW. Wish it was a bigger match, but still Ishii. Jonathan Berg says a great show, incredible main event. Ishii. So excited for him to come to AEW. Thanks for doing this stream so late, guys. You are awesome. Daniel R says, I'll save that one for last. Brent Lockman says Wednesday, Ishii and AEW. I'm off the scale happy. And Daniel R says, what does Walter think of Ishii?
Yeah, I like the Ishii. He's very small, though. He's a very small man. Very small, but I like to chop him. He can chop me, but he will only chop up to my belly button because he's very, very short. But he's a very strong man for his size. I like the Ishii.
That is Arnold. That is not Walter.
Walter and Arnold are both Austrian, so I have decided they sound similar. Get off my back.
Fair enough. Like I can't really hate on that. All right, let's run through some of these.
I love Alex impersonations, by the way. I only have two, and they're Disco Inferno and Triple H. And it's not even like great Triple H. It's doing an NXT media scrum Triple H. And so I will save that for the right episode of Grapsody.
I do Tony Khan. I'm told my Tony Khan is okay. I'm not doing it at 2:18 in the morning. I've not had enough cups of coffee to do that. Catch up on all these super chats, and then we'll give our overall thoughts on the show. We got a lot from the Bleacher Report app. Sucks. J Post says the last time pay-per-view was a mess, a glitch in the Bleacher Report stream ended on the app 30 minutes after Fios. Jeez, 30 minutes. That's a long time. Cowboy Clay says, now that Bleacher Report has refunded me after I accidentally paid twice for the pay-per-view, I can show you gents some love. Good night, good wrestling. Appreciate all you do. To add to it, Fightful Forever. Thanks, man. I'm glad you got a refund on that one. And appreciate the super chat. Big super chat by Cowboy Clay. Jesus Garcia says, streamed on BR app on Xbox, had no issues. I do have a really good internet, though. So it seemed like it was a mixed bag. Again, all of us had a good experience with the Bleacher Report app. Going back to the buy-in show, R26 says, I'm just happy Sheeta is regularly showcased after her summer of dark. And Hollywood Jackson on Omega Hangman says, honestly, I think holding on to the one-winged angel is smart. Protect the move for years until someone like Darby or Jungle Boy gets the rub. That would really be holding on to it, I feel. I don't know if they're going to hold on to it that long. If they do, more power to them. Truly, more power to them. Reese Power says, no Danhausen. This isn't only cursed. It's bullshit. Sorry for the swear house. Tremendous. All right. Overall, from Super Chats, we'll run through those, and then we will give our overall thoughts on the show. Kurt Luthrell says, yet another home run for AEW. Much respect to you guys. Keep up the great work. Mark Losbear says, great pay-per-view, great week of shows, but other than that, this has not been the best week. Mark, I hope you're doing okay, buddy. Hopefully the wrestling provided enough of a distraction. If you would like to talk about anything, my DMs are open. Anybody out there who's had a rough week, my DMs are open. Send me a message. We shall chat. Andrew 7186 says, love you guys. Amazing show. 5 a.m. here in Scotland. Alex tried to keep it under 2 hours. He failed. Alex.
It's all my fault.
Yes,
all my fault.
100% your fault, Alex. Brent Lockman says, after party at Fightfuls, hell of a show, gentlemen. Appreciate you, Brent. Thick Astley says, tremendous name. Can't wait to watch this live because Battle of Valley exists and switched over as soon as Full Gear finished. What a great weekend for wrestling. I will be watching Battle in the Valley shortly here. Beer What says, that was fun. Truth. Cold Strain says, unreal pay-per-view. We're lucky to have witnessed that. Speed Punk says, I can't wait for next week to see who is on the card. Oscar Villanueva says, excited for the future. This feels like the conclusion of a chapter in AEW and the beginning of a new era, hopefully with New Japan playing a big part. And J.K. Shaw says, as a whole, better pay-per-view, All Out or Full Gear. I will throw that to you, Will.
I was hoping the answer was going to be Full Gear. And had I gotten the main event I expected, that probably would have changed it. But All Out is still just a surreal night and a whole lot of surreal moments. So I would still say All Out. But I will say AEW, I would say hit the mark on 3 of their 4 pay-per-views this year. Like overall, now we can take a look back at the way AEW pay-per-views came off this year between Revolution. And Revolution is not one I just knock for the main event. I think Revolution I knock for not having just a straight pro wrestling match on the entire show. And that everything was some form of gimmick or multi-man something. And then Double or Nothing was, of course, I was there, and that was the show that brought all the fans back and was just a good time had by all. But I do believe that this show delivered, right? I think that I'm going to give a shout out to Josh Swallow, BC, because he made a point that I thought sounded ridiculous until I watched the show. But people were kind of talking about the card and how good the card looked. And he said, I know this sounds weird, but I think this show might suffer from being too good, if that makes sense. Where like there's so many great matches on tap here that you may run into like almost like great match fatigue. And I kind of had it throughout this show. And I almost didn't. You almost don't appreciate the value in like matches that don't matter until you have a show full of matches that all do in some way, shape, or form, to the point of where I almost don't have a mental break from just everything that matters here. I love this show. Like, obviously this is like a 4.5 star, 9 out of 10 show for me. I'm not really knocking it, other than having this much in a single show is exhausting. And you could see that in the crowd as well, that like they weren't nearly as lively for the main until really like the closing stretch of it as they were for the opener for Darby and MJF. But like I said, other than that, great show. Definitely recommend. And of course, if you're watching this, you've already seen it, I'm sure. But I would definitely put it on my like rewatches of like stuff I throw on in the background. Hangman's champion, and so as far as I'm concerned, this is a satisfying conclusion.
Alex,
I think I gotta go with All Out just for the sheer craziness of Adam Cole is here, and also Bryan Danielson. like that kind of ridiculousness, and also CM Punk had his first match in 7 years. Like it just for the impact of it, for the craziness of the impact of CM Punk is back. He's in AEW. He's wrestling his first match in 7 years. Also, Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson jumped ship from WWE, and they're here now. Like that felt like this is the beginning of some shit going down. Like that is what that felt like to me. I think overall, I mean, gosh, the cage match, the tag cage match, Lucha Bros and Young Bucks, I think overall raised the average of match quality for All Out to be so high. But MJF and Darby like absolutely killed it. I loved Miro and Danielson so much, and Punk and Kingston was just this a cathartic emotional experience that I don't know if that I was ready for. And then you had Hangman beating Kenny. Like I feel like overall it's all out, but just for in-ring stuff, I think it was tonight for me.
I'm with both of you guys, and Will knows we were at All Out. I think like moment wise, it's tough to top those moments. Like Suzuki appearing, Ruby debuting, obviously Cole and Danielson at the end, and I think Young Bucks Lucha Bros is the best match of the two shows as well. This pay-per-view was built better, and I think in ring start to finish it was better, but All Out is just you can't top those moments. So it really comes down to sort of what you prefer. Like, do you prefer these moments and everything, or do you prefer, straight to start to finish in ring stuff? For me, being in the crowd at All Out, that was something special. So I will go with All Out. Rolex Robo says, now let's talk about the Own Cup as the freaking G1. I don't care if it takes 5 months. I don't think it's official. Tony Khan did say it will be something that people don't expect, but I don't think it's like actually a G1 style, at least not yet. And JK Shaw says, the goats of Fightful. That's where we're going to end it. Thank you, everyone, for your super chats, your support, sticking with us for 2 hours and 16 minutes. Love y'all, love y'all, love y'all. Alex Pawlowski, let him know.
You can follow me on the Twitter at Alex Sourgraps. I review Raw and SmackDown on Fightful Select, which you subscribe to, not just for me, but for all the scoops with a Z that Sean Rossap feeds to you every day. And on Tuesdays on this very channel, I review NXT 2.0 with the great Kate Hensler. It's the NXT after party. We're supposed to keep it under 2 hours. I'm trying. And then I review Dynamite every Wednesday with Sean Rossap and Bobo DeFelice. It's a lot of fun. I'm on here a lot yakking at you about wrestling, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Will, let him know.
You can find me on Twitter. I am William RBR. I have kind of reduced my podcasting down a bit over the last. I've been podcasting 16 years, man. Give me a break. No, for real though, it's still one of my favorite things to do. And you can catch me every Saturday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, as right here on this very channel, youtube.com/Fightful. I host a little show called Grapsity with Phil Lindsay and Righteous Reg. It is honestly my favorite part of the week. I love getting to talk with those guys. And this week we had Andrew Thompson on, and we just had a blast. If you want to check out this week's episode of Grapsity, I highly recommend it. And check out all the other ones as well. We've been doing the show since the beginning of October, and it's just been an absolute blast. And you can find me there every week. Yeah. That's pretty much the place to find me. Other than that, William RBR, right here on my Twitter. You can see it right there.
You know who to blame, Sean. You know who to blame. Put all the heat on Alex.
It's always my fault.
Put all the heat on Alex. You can find me in the gym every day, getting them shots up. YouTube.com/Fightful Distraction. Go over there. We're posting videos like every day. Twitch.tv/Fightful Gaming, playing games and doing that fun stuff. And I don't know, man. Yeah, just follow me on Twitter. You can find stuff. The Distraction Thursdays, 3 p.m. Eastern. Joseph and I do cool stuff sometimes. I think. I don't know. I got work to do, everybody. You guys can go to Fightful.com and you'll see my name on the website at like 5 a.m. and then you'll see it again at like 9:30 a.m. because I don't sleep. Again, get them shots up every day. Guys, thank you guys so much. It's been a busy weekend. It's been a fun weekend. Weekends like this make it fun. So we appreciate all the support here at Fightful. Again, watch Grapsody noon Eastern on Saturdays. Watch Sour Graps. Watch the NXT post show if you like watch. Even if you don't watch NXT, like just watch the post show because it's fun and entertaining. You don't actually have to watch NXT. But
that's true. I truly only watch for for you and Kate. And like honestly, I can't pretend to be in the NXT team.
No, nobody can. Nobody can. They can't.
Thank you, Will. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Alex. Thank you guys for the super chats, the humper chats, the thumbs up, the subscriptions, everything. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. We'll talk to y'all later on.